Part 42. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 411. In addition, on the way back, the Weigong rebel army led by Li Mi blocked the retreat. After a fight, they were defeated and fled. In the end, not only could they escape to Wei County, but because they could not return palace, so the capital was moved directly from Luoyang to Wei County. This series of actions by Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty have made the Sui dynasty the laughing stock of the world. Especially with the death of Yuan Chengdu, the Sui dynasty has no available generals, making all forces no longer care about the authority of the Sui dynasty. Therefore, in the next month, various rebel armies rebelled against the traitors. Under the influence of Dragon Emperor Lu Feng and Wei King Li Mi, they rose up one after another and proclaimed themselves kings. No matter how strong or weak they are, they just want to enjoy the pleasure of being emperors and kings. Even if they are pulled down by the enemy tomorrow, they can still be regarded as those who have been emperors. In the end, there were a total of 15 people who later became kings and emperors. Together with the previous Wei King Li Mi, Dragon Emperor Lu Feng and Sui Yang Emperor Yang Guang, there were a total of 18 kingdoms in the world. After Lu Feng defeated Emperor Sui Yang's 200,000 generals, he has been consolidating Yang's government affairs. At the same time, Guo was sent to lead Huangzhong and Longbo soldiers, as well as 5,000 ordinary soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom who had traveled with Lu Feng to attack Zhongling and Yuzhang, in an attempt to eliminate several forces such as Xiao Mian in Zhongling and Lin Shihong in Yuzhang. Completely agree with Jiangdu County. A few days later, Lu Feng received a letter from Wei King Li Mi, wanting to form an alliance with the Dragon Kingdom and requesting Lu Feng to send troops to jointly attack Wei County. The main reason why Li Mi did this was because he intercepted Emperor Sui Yang's return to the west. He originally wanted to take the opportunity to kill Emperor Sui Yang, but he did not expect that Emperor Sui Yang would run away. Therefore, Li Mi worried all day long that if he let the tiger return to the mountain, Emperor Yang would accumulate troops to attack him after he recovered. In order to avoid future troubles, he signed the secret letter and sent it to the kings of all 16 countries, hoping to form a joint force of 17 countries to strangle the Sui dynasty in Wei County. In fact, for Li Mi's responsibility, no matter it was both Wei Zheng and Su Mogong had dissuaded him. They believed that after this battle in the Sui dynasty, the morale of the soldiers had plummeted, and without the protection of Chengdu, the many heroes in Weigong village could completely eliminate Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty. However, Li Mi did not trust this. He only wanted to ensure that Emperor Sui Yang was killed and the great Sui dynasty was destroyed in the safest way. Therefore, Li Mi still insisted on going his own way and wrote secret letters to the other kings of the 16 countries, inviting them to attack Wei County together. However, after Lu Feng received the secret message, he opened it and read it, but said nothing and threw it aside with a smile. Since arriving in the world of Sui and Tang dynasties, due to insufficient manpower, Guo, who had been with Lu Feng almost all the time to advise him in the original world, had been transferred to perform other tasks. Therefore, Lu Feng can only make his own decisions on various matters currently. However, among the 5 dragon generals, Zhao Yun has a calm personality, is good at both civil and military affairs, and is thoughtful and has the style of a general. Therefore, Lu Feng asked Zhao Yun to be by his side so that he could analyze anything. When the messenger who sent a message to Li Mi came in, he said that Li Mi wanted to form an alliance with Lu Feng and jointly send troops to attack Wei County. Zhao Yun happened to be on the side. However, Zhao Yun saw that Lu Feng did not speak after reading Li Mi's letter, but simply threw the letter aside, and asked, "Your Majesty, Li Mi invited our army to attack the Sui dynasty. What do you think?" Watch nothing. Please download Fei Lu Xiao for the underlined version of the novel. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 412. Lu Feng said with a smile. Li Mi wants to use me as a spearman. This kind of thankless thing, I am not so stupid. After listening to Lu Feng's words, Zhao Yun silently he nodded, but Ma Chao on the side was a little surprised when he heard this and asked, what do you mean by this, master? Why was Li Mi used as a spearman? Now that the Sui dynasty has been defeated by our army, only 12 of the 200,000 strong army are left. There are more than 10,000 people, and even Yuan Chengdu, whom Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty relied on the most, was killed by you, master. At this time, the great Sui dynasty is at a low point in strength. But our army has just defeated the great Sui dynasty, and the morale of the soldiers is at its peak. Moreover, your reputation, master, has already spread among all the forces in the world. It can be said that now is a good opportunity to send troops. Moreover, in the current situation, Li Mi invited the 16th Root rebel army to jointly conquer the Sui dynasty. Wouldn't it be just like CAO issued a message and invited 10? Is it the same as the 9 princes crusade against Dongzhou? Why didn't the master personally lead the troops to attack? If he could become the leader of the alliance army like he did back then, wouldn't he not only be able to occupy the great righteousness, but also be able to get more benefits after pacifying the Sui dynasty? Have you? After hearing Ma Chao's words, Lu Feng shook his head and smiled without saying a word. Zhao Yun on the side saw Ma Chao's puzzled face and Lu Feng had no intention of giving him an answer, so he said, Meng Qi, this matter things are not as simple as you think. After Zhao Yun finished speaking, Ma Chao asked doubtfully, what do you mean by Zilong's words? You two should stop playing riddles and tell me. Looking at Ma Chao with an eager look on his face, Zhao Yun explained with a smile, Meng Qi, when the 18 princes attacked Dongzhou, it was because Dongzhou had caused trouble and caused anger. In order to rescue Emperor Xian of the Han dynasty from Dongzhou, so each of them, the princes of Lu, responded to the call and went to the capital to serve the king. This is a matter of great righteousness. With great righteousness, at least there is peace and harmony, and victory is easier. Even if you lose, you are still a righteous teacher. However, even though Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty is promiscuous and immoral, is a tyrant, but the orthodoxy of the world is still the Sui dynasty, and although all parties consider themselves rebels, they are in the final analysis thieves. Therefore, this time Li Mi united with various rebels to attack Wei County and eliminate Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty. They are unjust teachers, so they cannot be compared with the 18 princes who attacked Dongzhou. And since these rebel kings are rebels, no matter what kind of righteous banner they use, in the final analysis, those who can raise troops to rebel are unjust people. Forming an alliance with these people is tantamount to seeking the skin of a tiger. Although now, because of our strength, they may respect us on the surface and even regard His Majesty as their leader, but they must be wary of your Majesty in their hearts. For them, we suddenly appeared in this world, and we have no friendship with other forces. Even if we become the leader of the alliance, everyone is working in secret. And although they work on their own, each force always has other forces that are friendly with it. Can unite with each other. Not to mention that we may not necessarily defeat the Sui dynasty. Even if we win and wipe out the Sui army and Yang Guang, they will inevitably put away their superficial humility and are very likely to unite to attack us. After hearing this, Ma Chao said in disbelief, how is this possible? They are also kings and emperors after all. I don't expect them to be unfaithful, but can even allies fall out with each other? Feeler reminds you, 3 things to do when reading, collect and recommend. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 413. Zhao Yun listened to Ma Chao's words, shook his head and explained, if we had friendship with them, maybe they would not fall out, but the problem is that we are strangers to the other anti-kings. And once the Great Sui dynasty is eliminated, the Dragon Kingdom is the country with the strongest personal combat power among the remaining 17 countries. If they don't want the history of Qin to destroy the 6 countries, and the history of distant relations and close attacks to repeat, they will definitely unite first to eliminate our strongest country. And only by uniting, only by wiping out our country can they attack each other fairly, and each force has the possibility of dominating the world. After listening to Zhao Yun's analysis, Ma Chao finally understood why Lu Feng was unwilling to participate in the army that conquered Emperor Sui Yang. But just as he figured it out, Lu Feng continued Zhao Yun's words and said Zilong's analysis is very reasonable, but there is a more important point. Unlike when the 18 princes attacked Dongzhou except his own men, the Ziliang army did not have any foreign aid. But now the Sui dynasty. The difference is that although Yuan Chengdu is no longer there, the lean camel is bigger than the horse. Among the officials of the Sui dynasty, there are also patron King Yang Lin and double gun veteran Ding Yanping. These two people were one of the 9 elders of the Sui dynasty who fought with Emperor Wen of the Sui dynasty and made great contributions to the founding of the Sui dynasty. They were not only highly skilled in martial arts, but also had excellent ability to lead troops in war. Ding Yanping ranked 12th among the 18 fierce generals in the world. His 2 green-stained 4-pointed spears were rarely rivaled on the battlefield. As for Yang Lin, he ranked 8th among the 18 fierce generals. He was even more powerful than Yuan Chengdu in the Sui dynasty. The strongest general. Based on the bravery of the 2 of them, among all the subordinates of the 16 rebel kings, it can be said that only Luo Cheng of Weigong can defeat him, while the rest of the heroes above Yang Lin have already been defeated. In addition, all the major forces in the world proclaimed themselves kings and emperors one after another, but there was one person who remained stationary. This person was Li Yuan, who was left behind in Taiyuan. Li Yuan had some military abilities, but his most powerful ones were his 4 sons, all of whom were quite talented, especially the second son Li Shimin and the 4th son Li Yuanba. Li Shimin was good at leading troops in battles and knowing people well. Although he was an official, he was able to get along with martial arts heroes and make them work for him. Not to mention Li Yuanba, he is the first among the 18 heroes in the world. According to what I know, Li Yuanba has already reached the level of the Wuji warrior. He is holding 2 golden hammers, each weighing 400 kilograms. He is unbeatable in the world. Since Li Yuan did not declare himself king and rebel, it shows that he still loves the Sui dynasty. Therefore, once Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty could not hold on any longer and transferred Yang Lin, Ding Yanping, and Li Yuan, this ragtag group of 16 rebels would definitely not be the opponent of the Sui dynasty. Especially Li Yuanba. According to the original history, he had the feat of fighting an army of 1.85 million soldiers with a horse and 2 hammers. The weapons finally killed the opponent with only 650,000 soldiers left. Ma Chao and Zhao Yun were shocked when they heard Lu Feng's description of Li Yuanba. Then Lu Feng looked at Zhao Yun and Ma Chao and said, although Li Yuanba is powerful, Yang Lin and Ding Yanping are not weak either. It would be a waste if Luo Cheng killed both of them. You also know that soldiers need a large number of job transfer points to enter the job transfer hall and change jobs. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 414. Having said this, Lu Feng smiled and said, if Yang Lin and Ding Yanping die in the hands of our army, according to their levels, they will definitely get a lot of transfer points. Zhao Yunhe, after listening to Lu Feng's words, Ma Chao and the other 2 also thought about the benefits of the job transfer hall, and also knew that if Yang Lin and Ding Yanping were as powerful as Lu Feng said, there would definitely be a large number of job transfer points. So the 2 of them thought for a moment and said almost in unison, Your Majesty, Master, I, disciple, would like to go to Wei County secretly to kill Ding Yanping and Yang Lin. Seeing that both of them were going to Wei County alone, Lu Feng thought about it. After a moment, he then said this trip to Wei County is very dangerous. Not only do you have to assassinate Yang Lin and Ding Yanping among hundreds of thousands of Sui troops, but you also need to beware of the 16th Root Army rebelling against the king. And Meng Qi, you are only in the middle stage of a peerless general. Although it is enough to kill the two of them, after all, we are outnumbered and need to be more cautious, so this task is left to Zilong. After hearing Lu Feng's words, Ma Chao suddenly became a little depressed, and Zhao Yun saw that Ma Chao feeling depressed. He first responded to Lu Feng, and then began to comfort Ma Chao. Meng Qi, His Majesty arranged this for your own sake, and is afraid that something might happen to you, so don't a Euro trademark T be discouraged. With your current talent, continue to practice martial arts well, and one day you will be able to have martial arts skills like His Majesty. Your Majesty will naturally take care of everything. There you have it. After hearing what Zhao Yun said, Ma Chao sighed and said, Zilong, please stop flattering me. Master is a genius. There has only been one like him in thousands of years, so I don't have any hope. But you are right, I really have to practice hard. I hope I can reach your realm first, and then break through to Feng Xian's realm. After Ma Chao finished speaking, Lu Feng encouraged him a few more words, and then introduced Yang Lin and Ding Yanping. Zilong, although Yang Lin and Ding Yanping are good at martial arts, their level is far behind you. Yang Lin is in the early stage of a peerless general, and Ding Yanping is a super general. With your peak level of peerless military general, it is not difficult to kill them both secretly. However, their martial arts skills are not routine. They are of the eccentric type. If they are not careful, they may capsize in the gutter. Yang Lin used a pair of water and fire prison dragon sticks, which were extremely powerful when used on the left and right at the same time. As for Ding Yanping, the green four-pointed spear in his hand was even more superb. The weapons of both of you are guns. It stands to reason that Zilong, you studied under Tong Yuan, the master of marksmanship. Your own marksmanship is already a master. I don't a Euro trademark T need to say more. But Ding Yanping's four-headed double spear is really powerful, and it is even said that it can defeat most of the spear techniques in the world, so I still want to emphasize to you the method of defeating the double spear with a single spear. Since the fight on horseback is a turn-based battle, Ding Yanping's gun is a 6-sink and 4-point spear. Each of the two guns has two spear heads. When the two horses are crossing each other, they can use the spearheads at the back to plunge backwards to kill the enemy and win. Called the elbow gun. However, although the double spears used by Ding Yanping have many spearheads, the attack range is short. Although the single spear has only one spearhead, the attack range is long. Therefore, in a confrontation, if a single gun wants to defeat a double gun, it is necessary to hold the tail of the gun and thrust forward when the two guns are thrusting together. In this way, the one using the double gun has to defend. Therefore, a single gun must defeat a double gun, and when two horses cross each other, beware of the elbow gun. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 415. Hold the single gun horizontally. If you use the elbow gun with 2 guns, it will be easier to defend. You can also cross the elbows and cross the elbows to injure both guns. It can be summed up in one sentence: use 2 guns to fire, and use a single gun to pierce. If you don't a Euro trademark T use both guns, use a single gun to pierce, use one word to destroy the spear technique, and the enemy will definitely pierce after defeat. To put it simply, it's a 1-2 punch and a 3-level shot. As long as you are prepared in advance, it is not difficult to defeat 2 guns with 1 shot. Zhao Yun listened to Lu Feng's explanation attentively. When Lu Feng finished speaking, he immediately bowed and said, Yun, thanks Your Majesty for clearing up the confusion. I will definitely live up to Your Majesty's high expectations and kill Yang Lin and Ding Yanping. Lu Feng nodded and said, "Okay, I also want to remind you, try not to be discovered by the people who rebel against the king on the 16th route. In addition, if Emperor Sui Yang transfers Li Yuan, remember not to fight with Li Yuan but." Zhao Yun responded again and took the order to leave. He was going to Wei County. He wanted to kill the enemy commander and general among the hundreds of thousands of Sui troops and retreat successfully. Naturally, he wanted to hide his whereabouts, so he only can go alone, not even Bama Yakong. On the other side, the other 15 anti-kings received Li Mi's secret letter, and they all became very interested in killing Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty and carving up the territory of the Sui dynasty. They agreed. They only saw that Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty defeated the Zhonghui army with 200,000 troops and reported that General Yuan was killed in Chengdu. They did not expect that the Sui dynasty did not only have such a small number of troops. Although there were rebel armies everywhere, the Sui dynasty had a vast territory, and the top commanders of each county and state were all the feudal officials of the Sui dynasty. Once Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty gave an order, they would come with their armies to support as soon as possible. Wei Zheng and Su Mogong had also seen it early, so Li Mi only objected when he wanted to write to the 16th root rebel king and invite them to join him in the crusade against Emperor Sui Yang. If only Wei Gongfang had tens of thousands of troops, Emperor Sui Yang relied on his own army of hundreds of thousands. The backing king and other parties will not be transferred back. In this way, the Weigong army, with its large number, is fully capable and has the opportunity to destroy Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty and overthrow the great Sui dynasty. It is a pity that Li Mi is stubborn and does not listen to dissuasion. He thinks that the 16th the Lu rebel kings joined forces, adding up to nearly 2 million troops. Even if the Sui dynasty still had many foreign aides, they were not afraid. As long as they could kill Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty before the Sui reinforcements arrived, those foreign aides would be dispersed. Wei Zheng, seeing that Li Mi refused to listen to dissuasion and insisted on going his own way, the two of them were disappointed and had no choice but to let him continue to unite various anti-king forces. However, before the 16 anti-king coalition forces reached Wei County, the Sui dynasty's scouts got the news. Informed Emperor Sui Yang of the matter. When Emperor Sui Yang got the news, he was hugging two newly found beauties and lingering on the bed. He didn't pay attention at first, but he realized it after a moment and was so frightened that he hurriedly the two beauties got out of bed and sent someone to find Yuan Huaji. Now that Yuan Chengdu was dead, Yuan Huaji no longer had the biggest backer, and he was no longer arrogant around Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty. He received the edict from Sui Yang. Immediately came to his palace. At this time, Emperor Sui Yang no longer panicked at the beginning. When he saw Yuan Huaji come in, he asked, "My dear, I have just received news that the Weigong rebel Li Mi has united all the people in the world. The rebel army is preparing to attack Wei County." As a result, except for the Dragon Kingdom, all the other 15 anti-kings agreed. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 416. Having said this, Yang Guang said eagerly, "Now there are 16 groups rebelling against the king, and nearly 2 million soldiers and horses have come to Wei County. Does I King have a clever plan to retreat?" Yuan Hua, after hearing what Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty said, he was surprised at first. He did not expect that Li Mi would unite with the 16th root army to rebel against the king in order to eliminate the Sui dynasty. However, he thought for a long time, and finally seemed to have made a great determination, gritting his teeth and said, "Your Majesty, these 16th root army rebels have nearly 2 million troops. With the current strength and morale of our army, we will definitely be unable to resist it. Sincerely, in this critical moment of survival, since we cannot withstand the attack of the anti-king coalition with our current military strength, we ask your majesty to issue an edict as soon as possible to transfer the backer Wang Yanglin and the double-gun veteran Ding Yanping to Wei County to lead troops to meet the enemy. These two people are the 9 founding elders of our Sui dynasty. Both their personal abilities and their prestige in the army are very high. Currently, no one in our Sui army can match them. Moreover, they are not only extremely capable of leading troops, but also no one in our great Sui army can match his personal strength. Even among the 16 rebel kings, only Luo Cheng of Weigong can defeat him. Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty said anxiously after listening to Yu Wenji's words. The patron King Yang Huangshu has already sent someone to ask him to lead troops to help. Now I will send another person to ask for Ding Yanping. However, the 16th root rebel king has a total of nearly 2 million troops, and even the patron king and Ding Yanping people come with a large army to help, and our army is at a disadvantage in terms of strength. And didn't I King just say that Luo Cheng's martial arts is still better than the two of them? Then even if I find them, I may not be able to defeat these people. Rebel. Yu Wenhuaji closed his eyes and said slowly, "Don't forget, you are the real emperor of the Sui dynasty and the orthodox king. Although rebels from all walks of life are now kings, there are still many officials remained loyal to the Sui dynasty. Your Majesty can completely mobilize the emperor of the Sui dynasty to stay in Ge County, which is still loyal to the Sui dynasty, and let them send troops to support." Emperor Sui Yang then asked, "It's a good idea, but there are some people left behind in each county who have ulterior motives, and not every county has a strong military force. In addition, it is still the question just now. Since Luo Cheng is so powerful and neither the patron king nor Ding Yanping is his opponent, can he be eliminated by just sending some county soldiers?" Yu Wenhuaji saw that what he said was so clear, but Emperor Sui Yang still didn't react, so he had to sigh and explain, "Did your Majesty forget that Li Yuan was left behind in Taiyuan? Nowadays, many feudal officials have rebelled, but Li Yuan has made no move, which shows that at least he still cares for the Sui dynasty in his heart, and your Majesty should not forget that Li Yuan's sons are all quite capable. Especially his second son Li Shimin, although he is not very old now, he is quite knowledgeable in the art of war. If he is allowed to command the army to march and fight, he will definitely increase the army's combat effectiveness to the highest state. In addition, has His Majesty forgotten Li Yuan's fourth son, Li Yuanba? This boy has the power of 4 elephants in his arms, and a pair of sledgehammers is unmatched by anyone. Li Yuanba." When Emperor Sui Yang heard this name, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he finally remembered this monster who couldn't even block Yu Wenchengdu's 3 moves. So Emperor Sui Yang immediately said, "If Ai Ching hadn't reminded me, I would have almost missed it. I forgot that there is such a strong man as Li Yuanba. Filu reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace." Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 417. I think that when Yuan Chengdu competed with him, he couldn't catch Li Yuanba's 3 moves, and it took Dragon Emperor Lu Feng 4 moves to kill Yuan Chengdu. This is enough to show that even Lu Feng can't compete with him. Enter Li Yuanba. "My dear, you are truly my blessed general. As soon as you opened your mouth, you reminded me of the loyal and good people like Li Yuan, Li Shimin, and Li Yuanba in our Sui dynasty." After Emperor Sui Yang finished speaking, he immediately found a pen and paper and personally wrote an edict to Li Yuan, ordering him to take Li Shimin, Li Yuanba and others to lead the army to Wei County to stop the rebels. And the reason why Yu Wenhuaji he had been reluctant to mention Li Yuanba before because his beloved son Yuan Chengdu was once unable to fight back in front of Li Yuanba. But at this time, Yuan Chengdu had just died, but he wanted to pin his hope of survival on Li Yuanba. This made Yu Wenhuaji felt even more guilty towards Yuan Chengdu. However, while Yu Wenwenji was in a depressed mood, Emperor Sui Yang felt happy because he had Li Yuanba as a layer of protection, as if the 2 million army of the 16th Root rebel king had been wiped out. Then Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty asked Ai Qing, "You said that I attacked Lucca that day and was defeated by Li Mi and had to move the capital to Wei County. It seems that I was almost cornered by Li Mi. In this case, Li Mi united the 16 rebel kings to conquer me. If he wanted to directly destroy the Sui dynasty, he would not forget that the Dragon Kingdom had such a strong support and would definitely invite the Dragon Emperor. If the Dragon Kingdom agrees, there is no need for the Dragon Emperor to personally lead the troops. As long as he sends Lu Buletin to lead the troops, it will bring greater pressure to me." But why does the Dragon Emperor join forces? Yu Wenhua also relied on Emperor Sui Yang to protect himself at this time. Naturally, he did not dare to ignore the problem, so he had to suppress the sadness in his heart and said, "Your Majesty, I guess that Lu Feng is not dare." When Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty heard this, he immediately asked doubtfully, "What do you mean by this, Ai Qing? When our Sui dynasty had an army of 200,000 to attack him, he could defeat our army alone. Why are you now uniting with an army of 2 million to encircle and suppress us? Some remnant soldiers were defeated, but he didn't dare to do it." Yu Wenhuaji patiently explained, "Your Majesty, although the Dragon Kingdom is powerful, it only has more than 20,000 direct troops. Even if we, Li Mi and others, destroyed the Sui dynasty and distributed it to other territories, there would not be enough troops to guard it. At that time, it will still be taken back by other forces. And compared to the other 16 anti-kings, Longguo and Lu Feng seemed to appear out of thin air, with no foundation or other forces that they had good relations with. In addition, the powerful military strength of the Dragon Kingdom has been well known to all parties. Once the Sui dynasty is destroyed, they will be the next to deal with the 16 rebel kings. And this is the most important thing, Lu Feng must have seen it, so I believe that before the Dragon Kingdom has developed enough strength, it will not destroy the Sui dynasty with his own hands." After listening to Yu Wenji's words, Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty felt that it was very reasonable. He did not expect that Lu Feng was not only highly skilled in martial arts, but also so thoughtful. He began to pay more attention to Lu Feng. Within a few days, the 16th Root rebelled against the king. The troops have been united and ready to attack Wei County. At the same time, the imperial edict of Emperor Sui Yang also reached the Li family in Taiyuan. Li Yuan looked at the edict and fell into deep thought, but for a while he didn't know how to deal with it. See for the non-underlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 418. A few days before Emperor Sui Yang's imperial edict reached the Li family, Li Mi also sent a secret letter to Li Yuan, wanting to invite Li Yuan to join him in raising troops to attack Emperor Sui Yang in Wei County. Many generals and retainers of the Li family knew about this, and they also persuaded Li Yuan to take the opportunity to break away from the Sui dynasty, establish himself as king, and join Li Mi's coalition. And with the second son Li Shimin and the fourth son Li Yuanba here, one commanding the army and the other charging into the battle, they will surely be able to conquer everything and easily eliminate Emperor Sui Yang. At that time, by destroying the power of Emperor Sui Yang, we will take the opportunity to eliminate the dozen or so rebels, and the world will be named Li from now on. However, facing such an attractive proposal, Li Yuan was not moved. Instead, he reprimanded the proposers mercilessly and declared that he was a minister of the Sui dynasty and could not betray his master. Now within a few days, Emperor Sui Yang sent an edict to Li Yuan. Everyone knew without reading that it must be Emperor Sui Yang who knew that he was not the opponent of the 16th Root to rebel against the king, and wanted to ask Li Yuan to send troops to help the king. Everyone had always been dissatisfied with Emperor Sui Yang's cruelty, inhumanity, and desolation, so they did not want Li Yuan to send troops to help Yang Guang, but they did not dare to say more when they thought of what Li Yuan had said angrily to them a few days ago. However, Perhaps because he saw his father deep in thought after reading the edict, Li Yuanji, Li Yuan's third son, thought that his father had changed his mind and was unwilling to serve the Sui dynasty. You know, although Li Yuan claimed to be a loyal minister of the Sui dynasty, several of his sons did not serve in the court, and because they knew that Emperor Sui Yang was fatuous and immoral and the people were miserable, they had no good impression of Emperor Sui Yang. In particular, Li Yuan's eldest sons Li Jiancheng and Yuanji had long expected that Li Yuan would set up an army to stand on his own feet and dominate the world as soon as possible. They could also use the opportunity to become princes. So Li Yuanji took the opportunity to say, the emperor was cruel and unkind. He usually imposed extortionate surnames. In order to make it easier for him to travel to the south of the Yangtze River, he even forced millions of people to dig holes for him. If this is not enough, which of the Xianren Palace, Linjiang Palace, Jiniang Palace, Ziwan Palace, and other palaces in various places was not built by him for his enjoyment? Since he was so arrogant and licentious, and did not care about the people, this is why today all forces have risen up to form rebel armies, and even the 16th Root Army rebelled against the king and besieged Wei County. Father, Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty has gone against the will of nature for a long time. It is the popular will of the people to rise up to attack him. Eat a Euro trademark s just that you don't a Euro trademark t want to raise an army to stand on your own. You must never send troops to aid the Sui dynasty again, or help the evil tyrants. Li Yuanji thought that the reason why Li Yuan remained silent was to wait for others to persuade him not to assist Emperor Sui Yang and to find a way out for himself, so he started to persuade him. Moreover, he thought of the time when Emperor Sui Yang was still the prince. He personally led people to hunt down his own family, and felt very angry. However, Li Yuan was deeply trusted by the two emperors Yang Jian and Yang Guang. He was loyal to the emperor and devoted himself to the Sui dynasty. The reason why he was brooding was not as Li Yuanji thought. In his view, this was not a question of whether to follow Emperor Yang's will to assist Wei County, but who should be brought to assist Wei County and how many troops should be left to guard Taiyuan. So he listened to Li Yuanji. After Yuanji's words, he immediately said angrily, "You bastard, our Li family has been loyal for generations. How could we give birth to a person like you who has no ruler or ministers?" Filu reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 419. Your Majesty is in trouble now. I, Li Yuan, will send troops to rescue you even if I do my best. Shimon, you pack your things immediately, take Yuanba and 20,000 troops to Wei County to rescue him, and be sure to rescue him. The 18 rebels were repulsed to ensure His Majesty's safety. Although Li Shimon had the same thoughts as Li Yuanji, he knew his father's temperament, so he was not dissatisfied or disobedient. He immediately said, "Father, don't worry, the child will live up to his father's trust." As soon as Li Shimon finished speaking, Li Yuan's daughter Li Ziyuning also insisted on going with his second brother. Li Yuan doted on her, but when he insisted, he reluctantly agreed. So Li Shimon immediately found Li Yuanba, and after settling things down with Li Ziyuning, then he ordered 20,000 troops and set off for Wei County. Li Yuanba said little during the whole journey, but Li Shimon suddenly remembered something. More than 10 years ago, when Emperor Wen of the Sui dynasty Yang Jian was alive, Yang Guang and Yang Yang competed for the position of crown prince. At that time, Yang Jian was originally Yang Yang, the eldest son, was made the crown prince. Yang Guang felt dissatisfied and wanted to compete for the crown prince's position. His advisors suggested that Yang Guang win over the important officials in the court and help him speak favorably. It happened that Li Yuan's father Li Zhong and Yang Jian were brothers-in-law, and died in battle for the founding of the Sui dynasty, so Yang Jian made Li Zhong the Duke of Tang, and Li Yuan inherited the title. Because Li Yuan had a high position and was a relative of the emperor, he won Yang Jian's trust, so Yang Guang gave Li Yuan the title of Duke of Tang. However, Li Yuan returned the gift because he didn't like Yang Guang's behavior. Not only that, when Yang Jian was about to change Yang Guang to be the crown prince, he wanted to listen to Li Yuan's opinion. Li Yuan thought that the crown prince Yang Yang had not lost his moral character and replaced him as the crown prince. It would destabilize the country and argue that Yang Jian should not change the title of crown prince. In the end, Yang Jian agreed, and this matter reached the ears of Yang Guang, who hated Li Yuan. So after becoming the crown prince, he came here in person while Li Yuan was leaving the capital for Lintung Mountain. They were chasing Li Yuan's family. Fortunately, Qin Kaiyan passed by and helped, and the family saved their lives. It happened that Li Yuan's wife had just become a Yuanba at that time, and Li Yuanba was frightened because of this. He got a strange disease. After recovering from the disease, he was extremely demented, but he still had the power he has now. When Li Shimin thought of this, he looked at Li Yuanba and said to him, Yuanba, our benefactor is also among those rebels. Now we have to deal with those rebels. We'll be an enemy of the benefactor. But no matter what, if you see your benefactor, you must not harm his life. You must spare him. Do you understand? Li Yuanba naturally knew that the benefactor the second brother was talking about was Qin Kaiyan, who saved him back then, so he also wielded 2 sledgehammers and said with a silly smile, second brother, don't worry, I will definitely not hurt my benefactor. Li Shimin looked at Li Yuanba, who kept giggling, and felt sad. Although he had invincible powers due to a strange illness after being frightened, his brain was not functioning well because of it. When he was just frightened, Li Yuanba was frightened. He couldn't stop crying, but as soon as he saw Qin Kaiyan, he immediately laughed happily. Until now, Li Yuanba has never listened to anyone except himself, and only when he saw Qin Kaiyan would he become honest. Li Ziyuning on the side saw seeing Li Yuanba's silly smile, he couldn't help but say, if you can capture your benefactor and take him too far away, you can be with your benefactor every day. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 420. After hearing Li Ziyuning's words, Li Yuanba's eyes suddenly lit up and he grinned. However, when he saw the expression of Li Shimin next to him, he immediately shrank. So he shook his head and said, as if to please Li Shimin, no, no, second brother told Yuanba to let his benefactor go. Yuanba must listen to second brother and not arrest him after hearing Li Yuanba's words. Li Ziyuning couldn't help but turn around. He rolled his eyes and curled his lips and said, I don't know what kind of ecstasy my second brother gave you. Since you were little, you have done whatever he asked you to do. Seeing that Li Yuanba ignored Li Ziyuning, Li Shimin smiled and said, little sister, with Yuanba's ability, it is not difficult to catch his benefactor. But since he is in Weigong village at this time, and he is with those Weigong heroes, it must be because they value loyalty and have a good relationship between brothers. Now Dad, he is still a minister of the Sui dynasty, so if we just capture him rashly, firstly, he will let him leave his brothers, and secondly, he will not take refuge under the command of Emperor Yang of the Sui dynasty. So instead of capturing him, we will hurt him. The relationship between us and him is on the contrary, it is better to let him go. Not only can we repay his great kindness for saving our family, but also we can form a good relationship with him again. Isn't it killing 2 birds with 1 stone? In short, if we just simply give up the kindness, if the father-in-law is captured, he will be in the Cao camp and his heart is in the Han dynasty like Su Shu. That will not be good. The key point is how to make him identify with us and be willing to serve our Li family. Therefore, if you meet your benefactor, he is not Yuanba's opponent. We could obviously capture him and take him to Emperor Yang of Sui dynasty, but letting him go is equivalent to planting seeds in his heart. Li Mi was originally an official in the same dynasty as his father, and I am very fond of his character. I understand that I have some talent in things, but I am not generous enough as a person. With my benefactor a Euro trademark's impatient and righteous temper, there will inevitably be a rift with Li Mi in the future. Once the benefactor no longer wants to serve under Li Mi, he will definitely think of him back then. If we let him go today, he is very likely to come to seek refuge with us. Li Ziyuning and Li Yuanba listened to Li Shiman's explanation. Li Yuanba shook his head and said he didn't understand, while Li Xiu felt that what his second brother said made sense, but he said unwilling to admit it, he turned his head and said nothing. Seeing Li Ziyuning's expression, Li Shiman said no more, just shook his head with a wry smile and ordered the army to speed up. 2 days later, Li Shiman and the Li family army rushed to Wei County to meet Emperor Sui Yang. However, Li Ziyuning knew that Yang Guang led people to hunt down his family, so he did not want to meet Emperor Sui Yang and stayed in the army. Emperor Sui Yang wanted to send Li Yuan to serve the king, mainly because he needed Li Yuanba to fight for him to kill the enemy, so he didn't care whether Li Yuan arrived, but was extremely excited about the arrival of Li Yuanba and Li Shiman. After Li Shiman paid his respects to Emperor Sui Yang, he asked where the 16th Root Anti-King Alliance army was now. Emperor Sui Yang told him the 16th Root Anti-King Alliance army arrived yesterday and originally surrounded Wei County. But today in the morning, the patron king Uncle Yang Lin and the two-gun veteran Ding Yanping came to the rescue with their army, so they all dispersed in a hurry to intercept the patron king and Ding Yanping's army. I just sent a scout to find out the news. I learned that the patron king and Ding Yanping were fighting with the enemy on an unnamed hill 10 miles east of Wei County. Fei Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading, collect and recommend.